And we are live. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome out to Tuesday Night Hangout here. We got a special one for you tonight. And cool subject, cool theme. In light of the last weekend and the cool experiences we had there and just the awesome stuff we had going on, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a good hangout. We got a few things to talk about. We have a special guest that's popping back on the line here in a minute, actually. That a lot of you, if you're in the industry, you know who this guy is, and a lot of you know how successful he is. He was with us this last weekend here as well at our Next Level Mastermind Intensive, which, if you haven't seen on Facebook, it's just been crazy. People blowing up, talking about it with pictures. We got people messaging us all over the place. What was taught there? What's going on? What did you guys learn? So. But yeah, I just want to say welcome out to everyone and throw it on over to Amy, and then we'll go on over to Aaron. And how you doing tonight, Amy?
Awesome. Yeah, I've been, if you saw my Facebook post today, I've been very emotional today. I've just been really just kind of, decompressing from the weekend and just really getting present to everything. I'm not even really sure exactly everything that I'm taking away from the weekend, but it was one of the most mind-expanding weekends I've ever experienced in my life. It was just so awesome to be with so many, to really just be with people, with so many amazing people, and to have the time to just, because it was a smaller event, to have the time to really just spend time with everybody. So yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited. I'm excited for tonight.
Right on. Well, tonight, guys, we have a special guest coming out with us, too. We got a few cool things to talk about in light of the amazing weekend and some of the energy that's just still present around us, and the amazing breakthroughs that people had. And, one of the big catalysts and one of the big special guests we had at the weekend here that we've got tonight on as a special honor and a treat. We're really blessed to have Aaron Rashkin out here with us tonight. And for those of you who don't know Aaron Rashkin, I mean, it's tough to introduce someone who really needs no introduction. But Aaron came to our event this last weekend, and it's like I have nothing but the utmost respect for him, and I'm proud to call him a dear friend. And he came out and just knocked it out of the park with us. Hung out during the weekend, and we had some amazing times on the top of the mountain. And then just his analysis of things on our Q&A panels that we had were just so cool, and just took it to a whole other level, and that was the vision there. So yeah, man, come on out. Aaron, how you doing, brother?
Oh, okay, I'm not even muted. I was looking to unmute myself, and I realized I wasn't muted. No, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing actually better than ever. Weekend was phenomenal. And the energy there was just off the chain good, and the people were amazing, and just all the breakthroughs that we all had. It wasn't just all the participants and the leaders, but I was a part of that too. I had some amazing breakthroughs, getting to know all the leaders there, and also the members and attendees. Everybody's participation counts. It all adds up, and it's it's a privilege to have been able to attend with the team, and be invited to come up and spend that kind of time together. It was phenomenal, really.
Absolutely, man. And you've been a part of a lot of events in your career, and you throw a lot of events on your own as well. You've got your day in the office ones, and then you've been a part, and a speaker at a lot of events, over the years in the industry here, in the home business industry and affiliate marketing and such. And so this just seemed to be a little unique, didn't it?
Yeah, what made it really cool was that there was leadership from 3 or 4 different teams. It wasn't just one. We had one collective consciousness, but we all have different styles of building a business and different ways of communicating. And so getting to spend time with you and Amy, you guys are some of my best friends in the world. And yet we all do business together, and we're not even on the same team, but we still run together and lock arms and work for the same reasons. And so between you and Amy, and what's up, Amy? How are you doing? I think Amy's muted.
Yeah, she's muted.
Yeah.
Hi.
How are you?
Great.
Yeah, I know. I've been watching your posts all day. Tears are streaming everywhere. No, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to spend the weekend with you guys in that environment, and then of course Jordan and Angela and Nikki and Abram were there, and Kiala and Tiana. Tiana, right? Tiana?
Tiani.
Tiani. I get confused between Kiala and Tiani. I'm thinking it's Kiali and Tiana. And then you know, just all the members, you know, all the leaders that were there that are they're just not members. They're leaders in the. Everyone was a leader. That was the beauty of it, is that everyone's a leader, whether they're brand new and made one dime, or they've been around and made thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of our member leaders made. So everybody was breaking through together and just supporting each other. It was powerful. And yeah, I've been through, you know, hundreds of events, large and small. I've hosted, you know, many dozens of my own events. And yeah, Next Level Mastermind was for real, man. It was legit. And it was cool. It was really cool to be a part.
Epic.
Epic. It's really tough to, you know, it's funny because, you know, we engaged in like 3 days of just amazing dialogue the whole time. And so, you know, yesterday we even had more. It was 4 days, really, you know, because day 4 was really like the leaders, producers day, where we had, you know, the top producers get a chance to mastermind and hang out throughout the day and actually mastermind more about what'll make the event better next time around, and some of the things that we could do even better, and how we could serve more people and do better with that, and then also getting a chance to reflect on how the weekend was and how it went. And so, you know, it's like this is our first day out of like that magical space of like 4 days of like just nothing but awesomeness, you know. And so I'm still sometimes, I mean, everybody I've talked to is just like still processing. You know, like I'm over here like I haven't really done anything except write an email today. I'm just like, bleh. You know, just processing things. And so, you know, as I'm sure you probably, a lot of you who were here tonight saw that email, you know, go out, and that's like the only thing I did today. And I was like, yeah, I've just got to go and still hang out. And I drove all around Breckenridge today and showing some people around and just relaxing. So, you know, tonight it's just, I want to talk a little bit about what some of the major realizations were at the event that a few people had. I want to be able to bring out a few people on the hangout that were actually there tonight and just get some more experiences. And the reason we're doing this, you know, it's not like we're doing this for a pitch. It's not like we're doing this to sell something or anything like that. What we're really doing here is being able to see if we can expand and project the energy of the realizations that were going on that weekend, and really the intention to be able to affect a lot of people out there now that we're in a format where there's hundreds of people on this hangout. And I just saw that, where there's hundreds of people on this hangout, and hopefully we can take a little bit of what happened there and be able to distill it into everybody tonight and some of the message. And so, you know, first off, I want to quickly just preface, like, you know, what the vision was about this weekend, of what we thought it was going to be and what it turned out to be. And so what I can say is, you know, I looked at this as a raising of the bar in the industry. And what I mean by raising of the bar is, you know, I had always had this vision that, you know, I always wanted to have a certain standard of even appearing above board and above higher standards and above quality and professionalism. You know, but yet professionalism in a good way that still connects with people, rather than, you know, professionalism of a person with a suit and tie. I'm not talking about that type of professionalism. And, you know, that was one of the things that, getting into this industry years ago, I saw a lot of people who were saying the scammiest things ever and misleading people out of desperation to make a quick buck. And so the good news is that's such a small percentage of the industry, But what I find is that because we bring a lot of new people, and a lot of people are coming into this industry at an alarming rate right now, just given the chance and the opportunity to be able to make an income online doing this type of business model. And the thing about this is that there's so many people that come in and they see some people doing some shady things and saying some misleading things and not being able to deliver on some of the things that they promise when they market. And so you see that, and the new person sees that, and if they stick around, they often go to a place where they're like, well, if I'm going to market, I have to market like that in order to have results. I have to market to the lowest common denominator. And what you see is people coming in, and instead of raising their game and going higher and becoming a better person, you see a lot of people letting the small percentage of people ruin it for the rest of us, and they see that and go, well, I'm going to sink to that level, and I'm going to market like this and be schemy and mislead people because I have to compete with those people. And the whole issue of competition in the first place we addressed at the Next Level Mastermind a lot, and wasn't it funny that every single leader agreed that the way they look at competition is completely different than the way the masses of people look at competition. And that's what I appreciated about it so much, especially that panel we had when we brought everybody up going through the last parts of stories and how we got to get everybody's perspective, as Aaron was talking about here a minute ago, getting people's different perspectives on the same thing was amazing because people had a chance to look at something from a more holistic viewpoint where most people would be looking at it from one person's viewpoint who's teaching it. And what I did is I invited people up, the other leaders, to help me with this, where I actually presented some structures and some teaching, and I said, now each one of you, what's your take on this? So not only was there one angle where it's like you're shining a flashlight on one side of something, but you had many people shining flashlights on that same object to where you could see and have a better understanding of the whole thing and the whole point and the message and the understanding that we were teaching. And so what I loved is my vision was to really raise the bar and show people that, you know, as leaders have to set the example. So for those, you know, who came here, everybody who came here was on the way up. They're all people who are starting to produce and starting to get it to a place where they're going to be, you know, moving into leadership roles here soon, even if they're not exactly a leader in their own team yet. You know, some of them have yet to step to that place, but they're getting things figured out and they're moving forward and their consciousness is there. And so this weekend was about setting those leadership conversations, as well as some cool stuff in their production, because we always look at this and you know, mindset and method, we really need both, right? And so we were doing both here at the event. And so looking at all of that, having the amazing vision with major leaders such as Aaron there and Amy and Jordan and Avram and Nikki and Kayal and Tiani and Landon, you know, that was just, the skill sets were so diverse, yet you could see the common vision with it all, where people could look at that in an intimate setting where we could talk about it and have dialogues. And everybody I know, everybody who went to that event told me the same thing. They had amazing, amazing breakthroughs. And anybody I've talked to today says they still have amazing, amazing breakthroughs happening just from what occurred in the conversations they had, especially the hike we went on, and then with that amazing view overlooking Boulder. We sat there on the rock chairs and on the rock bed and had an amazing session where, I mean, so much time went by we didn't even realize it. We were sitting there for like 3 hours, and just we all opened up and we all realized that the authenticity of our marketing, you can be authentic in your personal life and in your marketing and make it work completely, and people shouldn't be afraid about that at all. And in fact, a lot of people got real clear on that, and that was really exciting to see. I had breakthroughs. I had realizations that, you know, honestly, you get around a series of leaders with that type of vision and energy, and there's just no way you don't grow and learn from that. It almost forces people to just spontaneously combust energetically and go to the next level. And so just on that thought, I just wanted to turn it on over real quick, because I know, Amy, you're still processing a lot too throughout the days. I've seen the posts, but you're probably you know, a little more there than me, because I'm still almost reaching at words, just like wow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just as the feeling of this, you know, and we've seen some of this on Facebook today of what you've done, you know, putting out pictures and some thoughts and things that you've had going on, and so just if you could share and reiterate a little bit about what it did for you this weekend and how even your breakthroughs are taking you to the next level.
Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, I've had a lot of breakthroughs, and just to kind of piggyback on something that you just said about the, you know, like for me, one of my big purposes and missions in life in this industry is to help take this industry to a new level and keep it about integrity and authenticity. And like Chris said, I know that there are a lot of people out there doing things that make our industry look spammy and scammy and schemy and all of these things. And to me, it's near and dear to my heart. I love this industry, and it doesn't have to be that way. And there was a quote or a passage in a book recently that somebody mentioned to me that said something like, everybody's born original, but most people die a copy. And I feel like a lot of the marketing, a lot of the way that people market is copying and pasting their way through their business, like with no authenticity, no, you know, individual message from themselves at all. And I think a lot of what we talked about this weekend was to really help people get in touch with who they are, so they can share their unique gifts and their unique personality and their unique message. And that's what we're here to do. And I honestly believe that this, like what we're up to here, is bigger than any of us really realize. It's not just a copy and paste, get rich quick scheme. That's not what this is. And you know, for me, it's so much more than that. And like I said, this is my passion. This is my livelihood. And so to be around a group of people who are on the same page and spend the weekend together talking about these things was so unbelievably refreshing for me and moving, and you know, just really, you know, again made me clear that I'm living my purpose. Because Chris, you know, I had said to you a couple weeks ago, like I can't be a part of an industry that's schemy or scammy. Like it's just not who I am, and I don't want to ever feel like, you know. And I'm like, is this where this industry is going? It's because it feels like it's getting worse. And as far as like the amount of spam and everything that I'm seeing all over the place and everything, so I really feel with the collective consciousness, like that Aaron was just talking about, that we had this weekend, and the vision and the message that each of us has to share, that, you know, we can, you know, keep our industry in integrity and really provide something for the people that want to do it this way. And so it was really awesome for me. I had so many breakthroughs, like I don't even know where to start, you know what I mean? And you know, honestly, like, you know, like you said, Chris, I'm still kind of like processing and stuff, and you know, some of the stuff is stuff that I can't even really put my finger on. Like there's no way that I can actually like verbalize some of the breakthroughs. I just feel like a completely different person than I was 5 days ago. And you know, and it's just, you know, in a good way. So it was, you know, it was magical. And you know, the other thing, you know, when I'm looking at the pictures and thinking about like everything that happened over the weekend, and one of the things that I'm so, like, I know that like the universe is like smiling on us right now, because it was torrential downpours here in Boulder like 2 days before the event. My house was like starting to flood. It would, like, it wouldn't stop raining. Everything was muddy, and I'm thinking to myself, how are we going to go on a hike in 2 days? Like, is this really going to happen? And then the clouds parted, the sun came out. The hike was, it couldn't have been better weather. I mean, it was beautiful. And it wasn't like we were pressed because clouds were rolling in. Like Chris said, we spent 3 hours at the top of the mountain comfortably, and you know, didn't have a drop of rain the whole weekend. We shot videos. We had a professional video guy there doing videos for our participants, and the backdrop at this resort that we were staying at was, there were so many different amazing backdrops. With, you know, we had a pool, we had a golf course, we had the mountains, and they moved the camera around a few different times, but the weather was perfect. Like everything about it was perfect. We got to hang out at the pool at night, and there was fire pits, and we, you know what I mean? Like it was just the whole weekend was just magical. So I just feel like, I don't know, it was just, in a lot of ways, I just feel like it was divine intervention, and you know, everything was just perfect. So I don't know. Did I answer your question?
You know, there
all?
wasn't a right answer,
Yeah.
and there wasn't a wrong answer. So I think
Yeah.
that was awesome. And you know, whatever is right now is all that matters, and what you see, because there's still a lot here that people have to learn and see, and grow from with this. And so I think even next week we're going to have even more. But that's what the events do. And so also, you know, now I'd love to get a little bit more here from Aaron on just, you know, a little bit more about this energy and what was happening here this weekend, you know, because like I said, you've been through a lot of events before and facilitated and hosted a lot of events before. And, you know, I've actually learned a lot from you personally going to your events, Aaron. And so this was just, I mean, to me, I felt like best event ever. To me, anyway. So, yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I call what happened there, it's almost like synchro destiny. You know, we all have these paths and these courses in our lives that we're supposed to be on, and sometimes we get a little bit sidetracked. You know, we get, you know, consumed with, you know, personal challenges. We get consumed with self-limiting beliefs. We get consumed with business. Right? Sometimes we're focusing so much on the doing that we forget that we're not human doings, that we're human beings, and we forget to connect with people. We forget to connect with ourselves. And we sometimes, you know, put the quest for success in a kind of like a pulpit, like we move it off to the side, right? Because we're so focused and busy being, you know, busy, right? We just get addicted to, you know, busyness, which is business, and we forget sometimes that we've got to reground ourselves and connect with, you know, who we really are. And the best way to do that is to get around other people who also have that same desire to reconnect with themselves. You know, one thing I can say about the weekend, it was powerful for me because I witnessed this, you know, so many hundreds of times at all these events I've been to over the years, especially at my own events that I host, is that for the first time, a lot of people, they stop thinking about the money, and what they think about is they think about what's really most important to them, which is the connection with themselves and the people that they love the most, which is mostly their family. And, you know, I can't tell you how many people, I got, you know, several text messages and chats on Facebook and all these, you know, messages today from people at the event that I didn't know just 4 days ago. You know, I didn't know them before Friday. I never met them before. I only, you know, maybe I heard their name here and there, but really I didn't know any of them because they were not my personal team members. And yet, you know, I got all these not calls, but texts and you know, chats today on Facebook, and I posted some of them on my wall, you know, thanking me for the training, thanking me for the time I invested and spent with them. I didn't really invest it. It wasn't an investment because I wasn't looking for anything in return. Here's what's interesting, is that when you invest, obviously you're looking for a return on your investment. For me, it was I spent time, you know. I wasn't paid to be there. I just love being there with the people who are going through these transformations, and when we're all going in the same direction, that's the synchronicity of the destiny of all of our futures. And that's why I kind of coined this term synchro destiny. It's a very powerful feeling for me. It's where 2 + 2 = 15, right? If any one of us wasn't there, the event would have been completely different, right, Chris? Right, Amy? You know that if one of us wasn't there, right, any one of the 30 people that were there, I think we had about 30 people total, right?
Yeah, 30.
Had one energy not been present for that, it would have completely altered the state of the room, and the event, and the hike, and just the circle, right, the sacred circle, and just all this amazing goodness that came out of it. And ultimately, you know, here's what happens in the wake, right? In the wake of all this powerful connection and reconnection with ourselves and to other people that were in that room and in that event, right? In the wake of that comes 10 times the business, right? Amy, don't you feel just so much more peaceful that you know your business is going to take off to a new level because you know who your market is, you know who you're targeting, you know who requires you, right? I always say that the people that you're looking for want you as much as you're looking for them. So it's a real coexistence together. Now it's not codependent, right? We talked about the difference between coexisting and codependency. But this is about, you know, co-desires, right? We all require and desire the same things. right? And that is the human connection. That's to be able to work together as a team and create an outcome that's the best for everyone.
Absolutely, man. I love that. It's like, and that's, dude, you couldn't have said it better. I love this whole thing. Like, I even put it in the Empower Hangout on the page. It was synchro destiny. I love that new buzzword. I love it. I've never heard you say that either.
You neither.
Nice. Avram, how you doing, brother? Come on out.
Dude, I'm keeping it thug nasty right now with my bandana and my I don't know if you recognize this tie-dye, but it's actually the same one I was wearing yesterday.
Are we going to be seeing a post from Nikki later about how she wishes you would take a shower and you stink and all that?
It's possible, but you know, it's like one of those things. Like I probably better do it, or I'll
just sit here like this.
So I take it, Avram, that's your washing dishes rag, right? Is that what you got on there?
It's like it has a lot of uses actually.
Really?
You know, it keeps the hair out of my eyes. It helps with sweat. A lot of other uses we won't get into right now, but you know, and because I look freaking cool with it on, right?
Yeah. I know. I sent you a message and I was like, you want to hop on? And you're like, oh, I was washing dishes. I was like, oh, okay. I just had never where you seen that thing, you know. I haven't ever seen you wear that thing, you know. So I was like, oh, that must be the washing dishes thing, you know.
Many costumes.
So where's Nikki at? How's she doing?
Well, you know, I was washing dishes, and then I think she started washing dishes. I didn't even tell her what's going on right now. So she's probably gonna come upstairs and be like, "What are you guys doing right now? What is going on right now?" You know.
I'd love to get your take on this weekend and what you witnessed and how that affected you, and you see how it affected others as well. What's your thoughts there? Is this amazing weekend of just the energy that just caused everybody to shift?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and hopefully Nikki ends up coming upstairs wondering what's going on right now. But I've been trying to put words to what we did this weekend and what we experienced and what I was able to witness and see go on with the people around me, and it's difficult to describe. I mean, I definitely got a new perspective on. Well, I feel like I got permission to be me in my marketing and to not have to worry about or think about like how other people would do it and not have to compare myself and what I'm doing to other people, even, you know, top producers and people who are doing better than we are at this moment. You know, you obviously you learn a lot from people who have the success that you would like to have, and at the same time, I think it's easy to get distracted and think that you have to. Obviously, you have to become somebody different in order to have different levels of success, but you don't have to become somebody that you're not. And I guess that's sort of like what I got to experience this weekend was realizing that everything that Nikki and I have done up until this point it's good, it's perfect, it's what people are actually looking for. When we got in, we didn't know what we were doing because we'd never done this before, and so we just led with what we knew, and I would blog about and do videos about just whatever was on my mind, whatever I was learning about, whatever stuff I knew that I could share with people to make an impact. And when people would ask me, like, well, what are you doing? I was like, well, I'm just doing these blogs, sending them out to my email list. And they're like, wait, so it has nothing to do with network marketing, building businesses necessarily. You're just blogging about, like, prosperity, abundance, law of attraction, personal development, that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, yeah. And they're like, so you send that to your email list and people sign up? And I said, well, yeah. What do you do? And they would tell me about all this other stuff. And it's like, I'll be honest, like, we did that for a long time. And I mean, our first 120 days in the business, we were sponsoring a person almost every single day. And as time went on, and as we spent time looking at other people, thinking, okay, well, how can we take our game to the next level? every day that we looked and we compared ourselves to other people and tried to become more like them was one more day, one more step shifting away from like who we are and what's really powerful about the way that we market and that we show up in the world. And it became this thing that when we finally showed up at your workshop this weekend, and even backing it up just a week or two when we first got on like a webinar with you and you shared this stuff, and when you were drawing on a napkin at Jedi's house, you know, that's when things started to shift, and we both, Nikki and I, had a realization. They were like, holy crap, like seeing you map it out and learning some of this information, we realized how far we had deviated from what was truly great. And the thing I can appreciate most about this weekend, and also seeing everybody else create their stories around like who they are, was that you're enough. You're enough. You don't have to become and act like somebody else that you're not, and that's good. That will make you millions of dollars, right? That will make you millions of dollars, and that will allow you to step into whatever it is that you'd like to create. So whether you're driven to create a lot of stuff for you, your family, and the people like right around you, or you've got a different vision, you know, maybe to like save the world, change the world. It doesn't matter what that is, but you can step into that and you can create that by applying the stuff that we learned this weekend. So it might seem like kind of out there or kind of a lot or whatever, but I don't care what it is, because I had a huge frickin' shift, and I think part of that is the group of people that were there. And you know, like Aaron brought us through, dude. Aaron, that exercise with the dollar, man. I'm still thinking about it in all the different ways that it plays out. And I'm not going to talk about it, but you know, it's like, we'll talk about it. I'll tell you some of the stuff that I got, and it was like I'm still getting it like on different levels. You know what I mean? And so I just appreciate everything that we learned and all the space that we got to share with people. And I could go on and ramble on, but I think that was my biggest breakthrough. The biggest and coolest thing from the whole weekend was getting true permission to be myself and realizing that the stuff that Nikki and I have done is exactly what we should continue to do, because it's the thing that creates the biggest change around us and in our own lives as well.
Sweet, man.
Hey, Chris, let me jump out here, because I think something that Abram said just kind of like gave me like a little mini breakthrough. It's amazing, because you know, Abram said something. You said something a few minutes ago about how people ask you what you do, and they're shocked that you're not actually selling a business opportunity or a product, building downlines, because that's what MLM companies do. But we're not a multi-level marketing company, right? We're a network marketing company, but we're not a multi-level marketing company. And the difference is that when we sell product, the commissions aren't split between 10 or 12 people like they are in multi-level marketing. That's what multi-level comes from. Right? We're network marketing product. We're network marketing company, and there's two kinds of companies, right? There's two kinds of companies. There's like company A is where the people move the product, right? This is where they're building downlines and they're selling product and they're talking about the ingredients and they're talking about all these things around the product. Company B is where the product moves the people. Okay, that's different, right? But what's so interesting, and I spoke about this at the event, is that our product is not really our product. Our real product is people. And when we learn more about people by going to events like this, right, then we learn more about the real product that we market, which is change. So when I say that the product moves the people, right, this is what Abram just spoke about, you know, a minute ago. We don't have to sell the product, right? We just have to be ourselves. We have to be fully self-expressed, because we're playing in a bigger game than just selling $25 blogs or $100 Inner Circle memberships or any of these other products that we sell in our product line. This is about lifelong transformation and change, and it only comes by playing at the highest level for yourself. And if you don't vibrate at your highest potential, then you actually do everybody around you and yourself a disservice, because you're not just leaving money on the table, because this isn't just about the money, but you're leaving what you can do with the money on the table, which means that nobody wins when you don't play your best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that, man. And thank you for the clarification, because I think I just got a breakthrough from that. I didn't even realize the difference between multi-level marketing and network marketing. I thought they were one and the same. So, yeah, I learn something new every day.
Hey, I found somebody.
Oh, we found her.
What's going on?
How we doing, Nikki?
She has no idea, Chris. That's
awesome. That's awesome. You know, I actually got the hit, Avram, that you were supposed to share your breakthrough and what you saw and your experience of the energy and the people and the vision that you saw this weekend with us separately, so that Nikki could come in and essentially tell her own view of it as well. So I think I just answered the question there for you, Nikki. If you want to jump on in, we got Aaron and Amy and myself and you and Avram out here. So
and 333 other people.
What's up?
Is this a test? Is this
not a test?
So wait, what? I'm like in total shock. Like, I mean.
Okay, so we're live.
I get it.
And you know, we just been talking a little bit about what some of the breakthroughs people had from this weekend, and wondering if you had any breakthroughs yourself.
Well, Chris, I can tell you that, let's see, it's 9:39 Colorado time, and I have not yet even showered because I was too inspired to, like, shower. I got up and, you know, we started brainstorming from the minute we woke up, pretty much, like tons of ads and stories. So I just feel really. Oh my gosh, yeah, my breakthroughs. I just feel really inspired and on fire, like in a way that I haven't felt in a while, in a long time, really. I mean, of course, after, you know, the Empower events, there's this, I feel motivated and inspired, but there was something from this mastermind that hit a deeper level for me as far as what I was able to share, in an intimate group environment. So, like, I'm not going to say what it was, but because it was very personal for me, but what I was able to share with all of you in that circle that we had up in Boulder was really huge for me. And I mean, it almost makes me teary-eyed thinking about it, and just the love and the presence that all of you had. I mean, that couldn't have occurred in a space where, you know, there was a lot of ego involved. So that to me is something that I can't put a price on when you're in a space like that where people are just really being that loving space. So that to me was a huge breakthrough. And of course the information was phenomenal. And actually I had breakthroughs like helping a few people, coaching them on their stories. Like I got more insight into what I want to say too. So I mean, it's like I learned so much, and I'm so excited. I don't think I've come back from an event and, you know, started implementing so fast and so on fire that I'm like, I don't even care if I shower tonight even. Like, I might go to bed, sleep for a few hours, wake up again. Like, I just don't care.
You know what was awesome, and obviously, you know, what I thought was funny is the moment that sticks out in my mind of the moment that almost didn't happen. And I think you know what I'm talking about. And obviously it was a sacred place, and we all shared what we needed to and what we felt we needed to, which we really were able to support each other at, and have other leaders be able to just look at and either support or offer perspective and things. And you know, it was funny because Nikki, could you just tell us the quick little part about how funny it was that almost stopped you from sharing in that circle?
Let's see what. I think there were a couple things actually. One thing that I didn't speak to at that time was, you know, I thought that there's a certain role that you consider yourself to be when you're a quote unquote leader, maybe. And I was kind of like still a little concerned, like, can I really share, you know, the deepest part of what's going on for me, you know, in this space. Like, that was still, there was a little bit of a hesitation there. But I'm trying to think what else was there. Oh, you know what it was? I was like, I just loved listening to everybody so much that I felt fulfilled in that as well. And and I just did it. And then you looked at me with your blue eyes, and Amy has blue eyes too, and like double penetration. Double. Yeah. I mean,
The glare.
Bob just gave me this glare that was like, really, you're not gonna share, Nikki? And not that I was being pressured, but it was more like I just felt encouraged in a different way. And I mean, I can speak to the piece about, you know, there's still, even with what we've created, you know, I've still held back a lot, and I've held myself back as far as what I actually have to offer to the world. So, you know, I basically shared I'm tired of holding back, and that was actually what I said. Actually, gave some other people breakthroughs too. So, I don't know if I'm giving you the answer that you want, Chris, because I don't even totally remember. Like, I remember that by the time I got to sharing, there was so much energy coming through me that,
Well,
you know.
the good news is that we almost forget that, you know, we're back in different energy, you know, in quote unquote the real world.
Yeah.
And, you know, that during the event there was no wrong answer for things.
Right.
And the right answer was the one that happened. And so here it's just the same. It's not that there was any answer for that. It's just, for one, you know, I saw that was a funny part for us all. And how hilarious it was, where, you know, when people's expectations of you hold you to the highest version of you, it often happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we said, you know, Nikki, would you like to share? And you were just so, like, present with everything going on and experiencing it. And you were good without, you know, really saying anything. And when you said it, like, me and Amy both looked at you, and it wasn't like this, you better share. It was kind of like, really? You're not going to? Like, we know you have value so much to bring to the table. You're not going to? You know? And you were like, oh, and you got the memo right away. You were like, oh, yeah, there's something I need to share here, you know? And I just thought that was so hilarious.
And I didn't know what I was going to say. Like, it wasn't like something that, you know, I've been in circles where it's like, oh, I really want to say this thing, and my heart is racing, but I'm not saying it because of this reason. But it was more like what you're saying, and then when I was called into it, it was just what flowed out of me. I had no idea what I was actually going to say until I said it, and it was just really powerful. I mean, that's the thing, is like, I know that you've got some people on here that, are there people on here that weren't at the mastermind? Is this like
Yeah, this is actually a public hangout, and so there's actually a lot of people that were like asking us what the heck happened this weekend, which is why we're doing this hangout, you know.
Well, and that's one of those things where I'm like, I feel like to share exactly, like, even if I could convey exactly what happened, it wouldn't be nearly as, like, it just, I don't know, it wouldn't be nearly as powerful to share it this way, if that makes sense. Like, it was that moment, and you know, sorry to say you missed out by not being there, but like, there's certain things that you can't repeat. You know, they happen in the moment.
Yeah.
When you're there, when you show up, you know, when you're in the sacred circle. And, you know, at best you get somebody relaying, well, here's what happened in the sacred circle, but it's already a different energy.
It's already secondhand.
It's already secondhand, you know.
Well, plus we're all sworn to secrecy, so.
Oh, yeah, and I wasn't asking you to actually share. I was just wanting to share the funny part about how we just kind of looked at you and what your take on that was, you know, the glare. The glare.
I felt like, it was like a playful, I felt very like, you guys were being a little playful at first, and then I think Kayala was going, come on, Nikki. But it was really, like you were saying, like, we know you have something, is really the message that I got. We know, we're just getting this feeling, Nikki, like, that it wouldn't be the same if you didn't share. And that's where I was like, okay.
That's pretty much exactly what was being said in my head when I was looking at you. Was that.
We have telepathy.
Yes, I know. Yeah. We'll figure that out by now. So, yeah, you know, this event was just so cool to have it. And so it was great to have you all there, because this is the cool thing about it is, you know, a lot of people talk about this, and this is what alludes to a lot of what the email was about when we sent out the email and told people, you know, a lot of successful people, when they attempt to explain why they're successful, the masses of people often disagree and tell them that's not everything. There's got to be more, and you're hiding something. And you're hiding something because the people who say that are normally the ones that are in a scarcity mindset, that look at competition differently and look at you know, something and everything in the world is a finite amount of resources. And so there's this scarcity thing, and you know, so it causes people to compete for things and step on each other and cause all these behaviors that, you know, are not really life enhancing for anybody. and in fact holds us back as a species, really, when you want to look at it on a macrocosmic level. And so, the intention here was to get people to get out of their own way and essentially submit their ego to what is next for them. And, because a lot of leaders, we've talked about this to where, oftentimes the first thing that you see with people and the thing that's the last thing to go that holds people back from having a lot of success is the ego, because they're not willing to accept particular advice because their ego doesn't allow them to, and their ego holds them in this space of identity that they do everything subconsciously to hold to. And if things really changed in their life dramatically, where you started to have all of this success and all of the trappings of success and all of the cool stuff that comes along with it, and free time and freedom and peace of mind and all the things that you want in your life, a lot of your problems would be solved, then if you have that, then you become a different person, and you would not be able to be your identity, and your ego holds you back from becoming that person, because that ego is there to help you in a survival way to hold up to that identity, to keep that identity. And anything that threatens that, your subconscious mind starts to automatically sabotage and stop you from doing. And so the coolest thing here is one of the rare things I ever see. I see this on an Empower stage a lot of the time, but I don't see it a lot of other places. But we had it this weekend, is where every leader that came here, submitted that. And they sat there and looked at everyone in the eyes as an equal and got a chance to learn from each other and hold space for people, which was an amazing thing. And the content that we had here facilitated enough dialogue where people learned so much of the methods and how to get authentic and how to get their story out there and how to do it in a way that works for marketing, and then how that also helps them in their life and how that story reframes them and brings them to another place in their life that's more life enhancing. And so it was the coolest thing ever to see that and watch that happen. And so, yeah, Rashkin, I see you got over there, you're unmuted. You got something there on this? Just talking about this here right now on these thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what Nikki said. She was kind of thinking it was a little bit playful, and in other words, she wasn't so quick to share because she just wasn't ready yet. But we created an environment, a safe environment for her to really just be her true, authentic self. And nobody really held back. That was the beautiful thing about it, and that's what the collective consciousness does. Is it allows everybody to just be who they really are, and when you are being who you really are, you have no filters, and when you have no filters, you're fully self-expressed, and when you're fully self-expressed, you allow other people to like you because you start liking yourself, and that's what I saw happening for so many people that have been holding back for so long. They had a lot of this blockage going on, and that's what an event like this does when you get around the right people who have the right intentions.
Exactly, man. And it's funny because as a perfect quick example here, and I love that because that's how you eloquate stuff, man. I still don't even know how you do that so well.
It's,
but that's
it's just my drink, man.
That's what it is.
Colorado water, man.
Yeah, speaking of that, I need some water too. But what I'm saying here is, here's a perfect example. There was a while back in Empower where people were, when Empower started, a little bit after, and then when it really started to grow, really start to take off in the first 6 months or so. And there were a lot of people that were saying a lot of things out of sheer jealousy of what they thought Empower was going to be and the intentions that Dave had for the company. And I remember being on a call one night, and it was right after me and Dave had just got off the phone talking about this, discussing this, and I had told him, he was like, there's like, he's like, and I can handle it, whatever. I know it's not true, but, why would they even think that? And I looked at him and I said, dude, it's because that's what they would do if they were you. And what they were talking about is they thought that, Dave was going to get the whole database and try to sell them stuff outside of Empower Network and promote other products and steal people's people and get the whole list. And that's what their intention was. Like, there was these intentions to sell other stuff and be not upfront and full of integrity with things. And they were all saying that, and I was like, dude, it's because the people that are saying are the ones that if they were in your position, that's what they would do. That's the level of understanding of consciousness that they're at in their life. And so you've got to understand, like as he said that, and he said this on an Empower Hour call, people were like, oh, wow. So that's the time I had a chance the next night, because we had our hangouts on Tuesday. Or actually, we hadn't even had that. I was on a conference call, something like that. I remember talking like the night or 2 nights after. It's so long ago now. But I remember telling my team, like, guys, you heard what he said last night. And think about it this way. If you're asking yourself that question, what are the secrets that you're not telling me? And why won't you give me everything that I'm asking for? And why can't you show me exactly how to make money doing this? And all of the things that come up for any reason why you don't have everything you need right now, then just remember, when you're pointing the finger, there's 3 other fingers pointing back at you. And so people who blame others and talk about, you know, other people being the reason for them not succeeding, then they're not really living into themselves and taking full responsibility for themselves. And here at the event, you know, we were taking people from already taking responsibility for themselves to understand how to lead others and showing others how to take responsibility for themselves and be in integrity with themselves. And so remembering, you know, we were like, hey, ask yourself these questions. What's important to you? And if there's these questions that come up that put anything else outside of you in question, people were in a safe enough space to go, wait a second, what does that really have to do with me? And let's make it a safe place where we don't judge and we don't berate people or anything like that, but we actually let people go through their process and support them in that and make it okay. And understanding value systems with people and how people have disconnects in their communication. And so that's what I loved about this weekend, to see that happening, because you know, it's like just like the hangout, just like the email that went out was talking about, you know, a lot of people don't believe in luck and don't believe that they can make things happen for themselves, and yet there's people all the time that we can agree just appear lucky all the time. There was a few people that came into this event, like Isaac, who just, it seemed like he could be lucky his whole life. Things came easy to him. But it was because it was a certain mindset he's had. And that served him, but he also found that there were the other gaps he was able to fill in. And when smart people come together, talents and skills multiply, and there's space and room to grow, which was so unique about this event, having everybody just go, you know what, we're all here with each other. We're looking each other in the eyes, and we're all here as equals. Let's all bring something to the table. And it was a very unique event that I just still am processing myself. But, you know, a lot of people who read this email said, you know, well, what is it that these successful people say that I'm not hearing? You know, that the email was almost challenging somebody to say, look, you may not be hearing this. You may not be listening to this. You may think you know, but it's the perfect quote that, you know, I remember Aaron telling me at his Day in the Office events, where I've learned a lot of this stuff, and where I learned about how to create space for people and have an open sharing circle and see these amazing breakthroughs happen. And I came up through this too, was, you know, the places that hold people back is really in the ego. And so, guys, when I said in the email, what's staring you in the face, it's you. Oftentimes disguised as somebody else. But we learned we had a bunch of mirrors going on this weekend, didn't we? And that was cool to see how we essentially put our mirrors right in front and held mirrors to each other and then supported each other, and you don't see that very often. So very unique, very cool place to be in. And yeah, so if anybody's got any thoughts on that note, feel free to jump on out. Aaron, I see you. I don't know if you muted yourself or unmuted yourself on purpose, but figured normally if you're unmuted, I'd call out on you first.
Yeah, no, I'm not unmuted at all.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Just making sure. So, Amy, go ahead.
I just felt so much love this weekend, and you know, like that's the one word that would really sum it up for me. And I really feel like, you know, to be together in a community like this with a bunch of different leaders from a bunch of different teams and not feel any competition or any ego was so powerful, and it really got me present to like, you know, how much gratitude I have for this community. And then, okay, now I'm gonna get emotional. But you know, my kids showed up on Sunday night when they came back from their weekend with their father, and my older daughter keeps talking about how amazing all of you are. because she got to spend Sunday night and all day yesterday with everybody, and she just had, like, my kids had such a good time, and they keep talking about each person and different things, and she wanted to see pictures of Zeus when he was little. Like, she saw, I have a picture of me holding him when he was little, like stuff like that. Like, and it just like warmed my heart to see my children so accepted into the community like this, because I don't usually have them at events, and they know Chris and Jordan really well, but they haven't met a lot of, they know Aaron, but they haven't met a lot of the other people, and so I'm just like so in awe of the community that we have inside, all inside of this company, and it's just, like I said, the one word summary of the weekend for me is just love, just present to so much love this weekend, and no competitive, no sense of competition, ego, none of that, just pure, together, oneness, unity. So it was powerful.
I know, right? Yeah, this is awesome. It really was. And looks like we got someone else coming on here, somebody who had an amazing breakthrough that we watched just transform before our eyes in the Sacred Circle. And, we've had him out, a long time ago on a hangout once. But big shout out. Come on out, Jose. We so appreciate you, man. Like, you came out of like your shell and had this major thing, and it's totally okay. You don't have to, anything you're not comfortable with, don't feel like sharing, but I know you, and I know you would love to at least have a few words for people on, what things did for you this weekend. So come on out, bud. It's good to have you.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great, cool. Yeah, I had to think a little bit about what I wanted to share, just because it was such a transformational week, and I think that I wasn't quite necessarily prepared for what was going to happen, even though I knew kind of what the event was about. Am I still here?
You are. Go ahead, bud. You coming in loud and clear?
Okay, great. No, for some reason it looks like I'm having some troubles on my side. Anyways, the idea here was that, again, I didn't come not knowing exactly what to expect and what was going to happen for me, but listening to the stories, the breakthroughs that people were having, and just kind of sitting back and thinking to myself about what this really means for me at this point in time in our business, thinking back around the lack of success, the struggles that we've had, the mental blocks that we've kind of put up against ourselves, and just seeing how other people were struggling with things that I don't struggle with. And then kind of considering the types of things that I deal with and recognizing that they really don't matter. Figuring that out at that point made everything so easy at this point to kind of just put my ego aside, to listen to the messages that I've heard, and to really kind of knuckle down and do some work. So I was really excited at that point to see what's next, to see what I can do, because I wasn't holding myself back anymore. And I think, you guys were mentioning this earlier about this struggle, this internal struggle, which is really us facing our own fears, and making the decision to not let that hold you back. So I think that's what I really took away. Aside from all the great interactions and breakthroughs that I experienced from everybody else, because that was totally awesome, the association with great leaders in this business, and people who I look up to and admire and inspired by their stories. And particularly you, Chris, for putting this together and helping us get out there and take advantage of this opportunity.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, man. And it was just cool. And I just got to toot Jose's horn here for a minute. I mean, I've had a chance to talk with him before, and I knew he was way smart. I knew that. But to see him finally, just to see and participate and step next for him and have the courage to go there. I mean, we're not going to get into all that, because obviously that was a sacred place, and that's for you, Jose, and whoever was there to just hold sacred and hold, dear and keep that, in where it was in its place. But, I was just, what I will say, and I think Aaron can agree, when we both were just like, wow, a six-figure earner is born. I mean, like, wow, as you came alive, and the first time I saw you just step into your power fully and say, look, this is why I haven't shown up. This is why I'm showing up now. This is what I'm doing. And it was so cool to see, man. It was so inspiring. And you know, there's always a lot of things I do expect in an event, and then there's a bunch of things I don't expect, and a few things that just put me into almost shock. And it's not like it was shock in a bad way. It was shock in a good way. It was so cool to see. It's like I knew you had it in you. I just didn't. It's like I almost wasn't prepared for that moment, and all of a sudden you just came out there and was like Jose. You know, the real Jose just stood up. I was like, wow. You know, cool stuff to see. And so, yeah, you know, another thing here is that I know you enjoyed the story selling structures and everything, as well as I saw that you write yours out, and it helped you get real clear. If you want to talk any bit about that and what that did for you, and how you see how that story structure stuff just plays into your life and your business.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we kind of went through the training prior to writing the story, learning a little bit about the structure, which I certainly needed to kind of get my thoughts together. And I think that's really one of the things that I struggled with before I came here, was not really knowing where to start and then how to evolve my story. But going through the steps, listening to people's stories, and put together their story, I was able to kind of follow that format. Then kind of really defining where I was going with my story, who I was trying to market to, and at the same time some self-revelations around things that I kind of put aside. Part of that was what we experienced through the sharing session, and part of it was just sitting there and really writing out my story and recognizing that I was overlooking critical factors in my own story, and that in getting in touch with that and being truly open and honest about sharing that part of my life allowed me to emotionally connect with my own story. And I think through that emotional connection, I was able to find the words that kind of made sense, that really kind of put myself out there. And I think I got feedback as I kind of went through that with you and a couple others about the intensity that was coming through in putting my story together. And I felt that was really, for me, an awakening of being able to say, you know what, I'm not afraid to be honest and open about my story, or, you know, what's necessary to kind of get out there and put myself out there. So, again, the structure was important, understanding myself, where I was coming from and who I was trying to market to, along with getting in touch with myself and being real and honest. And I think you guys mention this all the time, and it's kind of one of those things that you kind of tone out. It doesn't always kind of make sense, but it does now. It really connects the idea that you guys are authentic. You come across authentic. What you feel, what you say is true. And I wasn't feeling that in myself before, but I am now.
That's cool, man. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. That's awesome. And you're right. And that's, you know, it's funny. I always have like a little bit of like a little bit of a hidden agenda that I always reveal later when it comes to this stuff, which to me, you know, you always ask leaders, like, what is one of the most important things I need to know being in this industry? And, you know, you'll always hear from them, a lot of them is, you need to know your story. You need to have your story. You know, people need to know how to relate, connect with you, and understand you, and know where you're coming from so they can relate with you, connect with you, and understand themselves. And what's funny is when we teach people how to tell their stories properly, that works for marketing and helps them to display all the benefits of what they do within their story, and how it helps them, people have breakthroughs about themselves going through that story. Because a lot of people realize towards the end how much of this was not just about the methods and storytelling and levels of awareness and all that stuff that we did with marketing that's just, you know, nobody's, you know, talking about. But, you know, bringing that to light, which Keala, you know, told me many times. He's like, you know, dude, no one's teaching this. No one's bringing this to light in this way and applying it in this way that works for us. And thank you for that. You know, you've done this. And, you know, for me, I wanted, and my intention was to make sure to facilitate as many breakthroughs as possible. And so, you know, the story stuff combined with values and understanding what you value was not only meant to help make your story better, but also make you better, to where you start understanding yourself. And through that process, I've seen people grow so much. And the cool thing is it's so much easier to identify what's going on with someone. I've had people come to me and go, you know, I'm really having a tough time with my story right now. I'm hung up on this point. And I'm like, oh yeah, what part is that? And they tell me, and I'm like, now we know what your issue is. Let's address this. Let's get past this. Let's break through from this. Let's make things happen. And so, you know, the thing that even after the first day, people said they got their money's worth just from you know, the sharing, but then even more so going through their story, they were able to put perspective to the breakthroughs they had and go even further. And I mean, I've been getting messages all day long. I don't know who I didn't get messages from people saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And so that's a cool thing. You know, that's really gratifying to know that works. And, you know, we did it before and we had an amazing response, and this time it was just overwhelming, the kind of response, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I got more out of that than I ever expected, and I'm still, you know, now still thinking through what I actually understood or took away. But the money thing, about what it cost to get there, the investment in this was nothing for what compared to what you got out of the event, what I got out of the event. Certainly, I mean, as I mentioned, that's not an issue for me, but I would have paid more, double for that, for what I got, for the interaction, the story selling, the marketing, the video, for that matter, because that's such a big thing for me. I struggle with that now, but I'm getting past that, you know, with this event, to get out there and wanting to change that for myself. With regard to the structure that you talked about and the story selling, for someone like me, and I think we talked a little bit about this earlier in the event, was I needed that structure because I'm a modeler. I think in models and concepts, and you putting together that structure and that flow made everything so much simpler for me to kind of follow along. I'm sure there's other people that they're stuck with starting, and once they could get a lead up on what steps to take and how to flow it through, that things click in their mind and they're able to make that connection. And at that point, things will flow for them. And that's really what did it for me, was I just wasn't making that connection before, and I am now. So the structure did it for me. So I can't agree more with the idea that no one's teaching that, because I haven't seen it before, or from any other videos or anything that I've seen. And it was certainly awesome to go through that.
Right on, man. Thank you for coming out, bro. Thanks for being here, and thanks for, you know.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Of course, brother. Of course. Thank you. So yeah, Avram, Nikki, go ahead. I see you unmuted yourself there, so go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And that was really powerful, Jose. That's awesome. It was powerful to see you in the circle too. Obviously, we can't speak to exactly what was said because we're sworn to secrecy, but it was really awesome. That's all I can say. Yeah, we're actually going to have to jump out here in a minute, but one other breakthrough that just came to me, Chris, and I shared this with you, I think on our last day, is that, you know, Avram and I mean, we've made over $250,000, and I think people sort of assume that, like, now we know more or something, and it's like, we realized that we were overcomplicating a lot of stuff, and we had created, like, when we would sit down and, like, write our story and create our you know, bridge videos, it would be like these long bridges and, like, super complicated. And, you know, even before the workshop, like, just realizing where we were as far as, like, what level of awareness we were marketing to, that was always an intuitive thing, but we didn't know why what we were doing was working. So when you know, actually, like, oh, well, that's because you're doing this, it's so much more empowering. Like, you actually, like, see yourself in a different way. And then you have this sort of guideline, like, you have this spectrum that you know you want to stay in, if that makes sense. So, like, you know, you talked about level 4, level 3. You even did that on a hangout and stuff. So hopefully I think some of the audience here probably hopefully they listened to that webinar that you did. And it's like, you know, we would look at level 3 and think that seems kind of spammy to us. But that's because, like, we were level 4s, and now we know we market to level 4s, and that is what is the most graceful, the easiest. That's what has brought us the income that we have now. But we still got stuck along the way because we overcomplicated. Then we started, you know, comparing. Then we started thinking, well, maybe we should add some more of this stuff to appeal to these kind of people. And then all of a sudden, I don't want to say that our message got lost, but we got complicated and almost like paralyzed. We got complicated in our heads about it. So it's been really, like, releasing and freeing to actually know where we function from and see, like, this sort of structure laid out, this blueprint of, like, what kind of values exist. So I wanted to speak to that, you know, we realized, hey, we've been overcomplicating stuff. And now it's one thing to realize you've been overcomplicating stuff. I mean, I've had different times in my life where I realized that for different things, and another thing to know what to do next. So it's like, okay, we're overcomplicating things, and I've been in those situations where then you're like, now what? But it's like, oh shit, we've been overcomplicating things. We can do this instead. And we actually know what to do. So that's been really huge and really powerful. So I'm incredibly grateful to you and Amy and Kayala and Aaron, all the facilitators, because that's just been tremendously helpful for us. I feel much more confident moving forward. And then the other piece I wanted to share before we go, you know, many of you know who Zeus is. He's our little French bulldog. We've been sharing his pictures all over Facebook. And Amy, I had no idea that your girls were like, I want to see Zeus when he was little. Like that's just so awesome to hear. And you know, I'm gonna get a little weird and out there, but I think that's okay for your people, Chris and everybody that's on here. Like, I think that animals are like these little shamans, you know, and they have no judgment, you know, like they don't think bad or wrong or anything like that. So I appreciate you guys actually inviting him to be there, for one thing. And I'm just gonna say this, Chris, like, I don't know if everybody else was there when this happened, but when I put Zeus into Chris's arms to say goodbye, so he was like, he took him like a baby and he was holding and hugging him. I swear to God, this dog, when I took him back, had tears rolling down his cheeks, and they were like these tears of gratitude. And I kid you not, I have seen this dog cry tears of gratitude. Like when there's like something profound happening, he just gets these little like tears and stuff. So whether you believe me or not, it's cool. But I know somebody out there is gonna be like, I totally get it, because you've seen how amazing animals can be, and that they are like animals have. They're tapped into, you know, whether you want to call it divine energy or spirit. Like they just have this certain connection. So I just had to share that. Like that was such a beautiful you guys had a moment, you know, and it's like that to me was just so precious and so sweet, and it wouldn't have happened without like us doing this whole thing together. So I just appreciate everybody, including him too, because he is a huge part of our life. And to me, it's not just, you know, people say their animals are like fur babies, you know, so I feel that way about him, and also that he's like this wise little being that also has something to share. So thanks for receiving that.
Well, you're right, and that dog ain't no ordinary dog, that's for sure.
Well, it's like he's pound for pound. I think he's stronger than Rashkin. You know, I mean, right? I mean, Aaron, he was like doing that thing in your living room the other day. You know, when he's playing, he was showing.
He owns me. He owns me.
Papa Aaron, look, I'm tough, man. I'm tough.
Did you guys see the pictures that Jose posted? I think it was you, Jose, that took a whole bunch of pictures of Zeus. Was it you? Yeah. Did you guys see that? I tagged you in one of them so that you would see them.
I saw only one. So.
Okay, well, go to the Facebook group, and Jose took a bunch, and he's like, he looks so like strong and muscular, like he's so cute. Go look at those pictures.
Well, he's that, and he's also so sweet and kind and gentle. And I think Chris wasn't thinking about, when he said he's not a dog, I don't think he was thinking bodybuilder. I think he was having more of a spiritual perspective on that, you know. But it's all good.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a name like Zeus, sort of godlike, you know, and then you got He-Man on the other side, and it's like. It's just a lot of magic stuff going on, you know what I mean? So these two dirty hippies are going to go take a much-needed shower, and we appreciate you guys for having us out, having us this weekend. So, and then I just love getting that text from you, Chris. And you're like, so are you guys coming? I'm like, what do you mean? Are we coming? Like, you didn't tell me this is happening. Okay, let's do it. So it's fun.
Right on, man. Well, thank you so much, you two, and it's been an amazing weekend with you two, and it wouldn't have been the same without you. And like I said, when I approached you all at Jedi's that night and said, you know, it just wouldn't be, for some reason, I just feel you need to be a part of this, and I don't know how it couldn't be with the vision that I've had and how closely we all resonate, you know, you and Nikki and Zeus, and so I'm glad all three of you could make it. You know.
Thanks, too.
So
Well,
and look forward.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely, and looking forward to the next one. You know, because
Yeah.
you know, we were looking at this maybe being a yearly thing, but it looks like we may be doing, you know, another one here in 3-4 months, and I'll just, you know, keep hush hush about the rest of the details. But a lot of people are like, how come I never heard about this? What, I didn't even know this was for sale. I didn't even know this was possible. And we kind of had a small little soft promotion because there's, you know, only a certain exclusive number of slots available. However, we're going to do this a little more scientifically next time, and everyone is at least going to be aware of it and, you know, have a chance to be able to take advantage of it, have a chance to be a part of this thing, because events are where it's at. And so, yeah, thank you so much, you two. Appreciate you, and we'll be seeing you soon again.
Sounds
See you
good.
soon.
Good night.
All right. Night. And so, you know, with that, you know, if anyone's got anything, I've got something else here, but I just wanted to open it up real quick. Amy, you got anything else here after all this?
No, you can go for
Okay.
whatever
Cool.
you're going for right now.
Awesome. But, you know, what I wanted to say here is that, you know, one of the cool things that inspired me to be able to pull this event off is obviously being around other leaders where I got some very unique perspectives and some unique opportunities to be in a room with people that I consider above my level. And, you know, it's no secret that, you know, I've pretty much considered Aaron, you know, on a producer's, you know, on a business level, just like so many levels above me, and I've always learned so much from him. And it's like he's been a big brother to me, you know, in the industry ever since we've known each other, you know, for a couple of years now. And I've often had the chance to attend his day in the office events, which are just, for me, it's like, the thing is, like, all I tell him now is, dude, when are you having it? And if I'm in town, I'm there. You know, like, there's not even a question. Like, just check with me if I'm in town. And if I'm not traveling, I'm there, and I'll keep coming, because I understand as a leader that you're never done growing, and that you know, that thing that I heard from him a while back at one of the first day in the offices, you know, he said something really amazing that was, you know, so simple, but so, like, for me at the time was like, wow. And it was, you know, it was regarding the ego, and it was like, the moment somebody says to themselves, oh, I already know that, and they start checking out and they start not listening to whatever's being said next, they're losing out on their opportunity to grow, and they've shut off their capacity to grow. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, there's times when I've done that myself. And when I looked back on my life and my career in this industry, it was only when I finally stopped saying, you know what, there's more to this here, and I want to know what that is. And I want to know more about myself, and I'm not afraid to look at whatever it is that's holding me back, even if it's ugly, because I've just let go of the identity of what that looks like, and because it's not about me anymore, it's about others. And being able to let go of that and understand this is about others inspired me to do events, inspired me to do, you know, to start putting this event together and collaborating with others. And had I had let my ego get in the way, I would have done an event by myself. You know, but instead I brought on this platform of other people because I realized the power of, you know, getting multiple leaders around each other, being able to mastermind, and then people there witness it as well and see their individual takes on it, and we all lift each other up. And so, you know, Aaron, I want to bring you out here and just actually publicly acknowledge you and say thank you, because without going to your day in the office events, I don't know at what point I would have finally jumped out and really had the confidence, seeing how events run and seeing what's taught at events and how impactful they are on people's lives and what they do for people. People are never the same. I've seen so many people walk out of your events never the same too. So I just wanted to give you a chance real quick to talk a little bit about what you see and what the power of events are, and also some of the things you do at yours that is, you know, plays right in line with the stuff we were talking about and teaching at our events. So go for it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you, you know, kind of letting me have the, you know, let me have the floor. You know, one thing I can say, and here's what I'll share with you, is that while we were at the Next Level Mastermind last weekend, one of my teams, which many of you that are in Empower Network know, that I sponsored Silvio Fortunato, who is the leader who started the Lazy Millionaires, and right now the Lazy Millionaires are growing like I've never seen an organization grow before, especially in our niche in the internet marketing and info marketing space of home-based business and networking. You know, they're approaching 5,000 active members on their team. And while we were at Next Level Mastermind last weekend here in Colorado, Silvio, who came to my day in the office with a couple of his leaders, Roy Gabriel and Miguel Borges. And Miguel had come actually before Silvio did. Miguel actually flew from Portugal here to Colorado to come spend the day in the office with me in December of 2011. It was actually December of 2012. December 2012, and then he came back about 4 months later, at the end of February, early March, for another day in the office with Silvio and with Roy Gabriel. And this past weekend, now mind you, they've only been in the business for 21 months, so they haven't really been in for quite the whole time that Empower's been in business. And they got started about 10 or so months after the company launched. But yet, while we were at Next Level Mastermind last weekend, Silvio and Roy and Miguel took my idea of day in the office after spending that quality time with me in those 3 days, and you and all the leaders. We had, I think that event we had 22 people. They took those ideas and more that I gave them after the event, because they spent 2 more days with me here in the house. And they went out, and last weekend they had 8 day in the office events going on at one time in 8 different cities in Portugal, Spain, and Brazil. And they had over 200 of their members going through the same process that not only they went through multiple times, right, between Miguel and Silvio and Roy, but also, Chris, what we went and did here at Next Level Mastermind, and what all your members experienced as well. So, what I'm teaching at my day in the office far transcends just making money. Although that is a major focus, what we do is we teach people how to make those breakthroughs that they need to get to the next level. And whether it's business, whether it's personal, whether it's part of their marketing, day one of our event is a very personal experience, because I open up my business for everybody in attendance, and I show the inside and the inner workings of a near multiple, well, let's just put it this way, we're over 8 figures in total revenue in the last 6 years. Right? My business has done over 8 figures, over $10 million in sales in the last 6 years on the internet. Now I'm approaching $5 million in commissions. So I'm going to open up my playbook and show everything that we do and have done to this point to create that kind of success. And that's on day one. Day two is all about our members' businesses, where we look at every aspect. And Chris, you can speak to this because this is probably your favorite part of the event, where we actually get into the advertising and marketing makeovers for all of our attendees' businesses. And we look at everything from content creation to social media to videos to copy to email marketing to lead capture pages, bridge pages, thank you pages. We do a lot of phone follow-up conversation. We're doing live new member game plan calls at our live event coming up here in 2 weeks. And so, Chris, you've been through that process many times. We take our members out for really nice dinners, and we just, we recreate the human experience and the side of business that a lot of people are missing right now in their marketing arsenal, and that's what is keeping them from getting the next level breakthrough as well.
Perfect, man. That's awesome. And I'll just say I've witnessed and experienced it and taken so much from it. And I'd have to say it's a major reason why I've made $250,000 in this company. Income disclaimer, results not typical. Some of you may have seen the T-shirt on Sunday that said that. But, it really is true. And when you get a chance to learn from, an 8-figure earner in this industry, I suggest you take advantage of it and do so, especially making it so reasonable and affordable for people as well. That it makes it to where a person who is just getting rolling and may still be needing to figuring out a lot of this stuff, that is moving forward in their business and is committed to making this happen, if they're one of those people that, it's obvious they walk in the door and they're like, I'm going to get this thing handled, I'm going to do this, and nothing's stopping them, then they're really receptive in a place to learn so much. I've seen people go out of there and hit the leaderboards. Really cool to watch that. I remember Tim D actually did that coming out of there. Saw him start hitting the leaderboards after literally just so cool. Just right after we got out of the event, it was probably a week or so, and he was just like, we changed his life. So yeah, I think it was here. I believe the site where you can go check that out and take advantage of this cool stuff that he's got going on at Day in the Office is dayintheoffice.com. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, that's the site.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, appreciate you. And dayintheoffice.com is an experience like no other. Aaron was one of the ones that taught me about how to treat people well at an event and how to, we take people out to dinner. He'd take us to these nice restaurants and kind of like what we did at the Next Level Mastermind. And I'd sit back and be looking at him like, you know what, you got this thing figured out. You know what you're doing here. This is a cut above. I like this, And so that's what we did at the event as well. We took people out to this place called the Med in Boulder, and everyone just absolutely loved it. Just loved the food. It was amazing food, and we walked right in there, had them all set up, had a nice reservation, and then we got just the food was amazing. Had a great time, a chance to just break bread with everybody and chat and just go deeper. Continuing to go deeper. And then we had another producers type one on yesterday, on Monday, at Alibaba Grill, I believe it was. Amazing Mediterranean food as well. So, that type of stuff.
Mediterranean theme going on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're going to have to keep it that way. We're setting precedent there. It really was, but it's like, you get there, and, I mean, we had lunches catered, and I know you actually do that too. You guys, I learned this from Aaron. Okay, I learned this stuff from him. He has his lunches catered as well, every day, so you stick in there and you stay in the energy, and we all eat together and get a chance to talk and kind of decompress a little bit, but stay in the energy. Really cool. And then go out to dinner with everyone. And, the things that people are going to remember is, the stuff they learn is awesome, but the things that are going to, even 20, 30 years from now, it's going to be the dinners we shared, the lunches we shared as we sat and shared a meal together, and then hiking, sitting in that circle together. That's going to be the cool stuff. And cool enough, that same thing I learned from Aaron with the circle, and he has that personal development side. And I'm not gonna totally let all the tricks out of the bag here. You just have to experience it for yourself. But people go to that thing, and I've seen just tears all the way around the table. For people just like, I wish I understood this about myself. And it took them getting to an event like this to make that happen. So I really feel that, what you've done with Day in the Office is just, your way, Aaron, if I can put it in my way, is your way of being the change you want to see in the world, and having that event for people that are ready for it, just like we did with this. So I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you were able to come on and give us your sage wisdom once again, like you always do, and offer that for us as another chance for people to get in on. And I think that's what we got here in less than 3 weeks now.
Yeah, it's actually 2 weeks from this Friday and Saturday, so it's the 22nd and 23rd of August. And I've actually added a new twist to it that's going to make a whole lot of difference for people that you haven't experienced yet either. You'll have to come to one in the future. I know you're not able to make this one coming up, but Abram and Nikki are going to be there, and I know that I think several people on their team are going to be there from Abram and Nikki's team, and there's some other local guests that are going to be showing up as well, which is going to be a lot of fun. But we're going to do something completely different that I haven't done before yet. I've already seen it come to fruition. Some of the exercises that I've done in the past obviously have done well. We did one at the Next Level Mastermind. We did a couple exercises, right? I guess that was on Friday. No, that was on Saturday. And we're going to do some really cool new stuff. And, a lot of it has a lot to do with business, but a lot of it has to do with really understanding, how you are the business that you're marketing. And we're going to take everybody that's at our event, whether it's, 20 or, 10 or 15 or 10, I have room around my table. It's, we've got enough room to house about 20 people or so. And we're going to do everything we can to get as many people in the event as possible. So if you still, if you're looking at this or you're on the bubble, now's the time to get on board, because we are going to sell out.
Right on. And you always do. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and I got to jump off here too, Chris. So I just want to say thank you so much to you and to Amy for having me, and all of the team with Team Be the Change. And Jose, it was awesome to meet you and your wife, and just really get to know you guys and learn a lot more about some of the future leaders of the industry, and they're right here on this team, and part of this team that we're building together here with Next Level. I'm really excited about what's coming up in the future, and I'll see some of you guys here in the next couple of weeks in my office. So
Sounds good, brother. We love you, man. Take care.
Nice.
Glad to have you out.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, take care, guys. Love y'all.
Love you.
So, wow, yeah, awesome. And I just wanted to give credit where credit was due, you know, because the things that we were able to facilitate this weekend, had it not been for standing on the shoulders of giants, it wouldn't have been what it was. And so, just thankful for him. And I wish, you know, Keala wasn't able to jump out. He's in San Francisco right now, still traveling, and I was wishing in some way he could make it. But Keala Kanai was a big part of this event and offered so much. He got there, and the things he said, you know, he said just what he learned made him another $1 million, if not $2 million. And he learned so much about himself and so much about his marketing just through the power of us all being there. And you know, the thing is, you know, we're going to have another one in 3 to 4 months, and you'll be able to take advantage of it then. You will definitely hear about it, and it's going to be a couple cool dimensions added to it for people as we were able to look at what we did and see how we could make it even better the next time around. So those of you that haven't made
like
it
not starting at 8 a.m. every day.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. But exactly, right? So, yeah, that was tough. Yeah, never again. You know, and so you're going to be able to take advantage of things that haven't even come to light yet as we get better and offer this in an even more enhancing format for people. So that's even a cooler thing about all of it is it's going to be even better than what it was before. We're taking it even higher. We've got a few new leaders that have already committed and are going to be there. I can't name names right now, but we've got verbal commitments, and I'll tell you what, household names. Yeah. Amy, if you feel like we could wait, doesn't matter. We could totally leave people in suspense, but
yeah, we'll wait.
Awesome. All I can tell you guys is when I saw the text from Amy today of who said they're coming, I literally jumped out of my chair and started running around the room, jumping up and down. Yes! Yes! So awesome. Yeah. So I actually want to bring out somebody real quick who's actually sitting like right over here next to me at my place. Michael, he actually just come on over, bud. He actually, went to the event, and then, I invited him out to come out to my place here, and they're spending some time in Colorado. Him and Irina and Paulina are all here, and so I'll have them come out as well if they want to share. But I wanted to just quickly open it up and let him tell his quick story here real quick and what he thought of this event and what it did for him. And he's, we've been having some conversations today, and just even throughout the day, it was cool to see like how you've had some realizations even throughout the day just looking back on it. So I'm actually going to take this off my settings here so that you can hear everyone and you can speak as well. But all right, yeah, come on over, man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yay, Michael!
Oh, hold on.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Jose. Hey, guys. Yeah, my name is Michael, and man. I've been to a lot of events and like big events, and this was the first small event that I went to, and I'm just blown away because I was kind of debating whether I should even am I doing the right thing? Do I really need this? Because I had results, but I felt like I was going up and down and like a roller coaster in my business, and after meeting Chris at New Orleans event, we kind of built a friendship, and he showed me kind of what he was doing, and I'm like, man, do I spend this money or do I put that money into some marketing? And just, I was just generating leads based on like, leveraging systems and just driving traffic. And what I realized is, I can tell my story and just take my business to the next level. And that was my intention coming in, is that, how do I get unstuck? How do I break through that ceiling? And I was very uncomfortable, to put my story out there. And what I realized at this event is that I'm kind of being selfish by not doing that. People, there's some people that I can truly connect with that could help, that I could help change their life. So that's kind of what I got out of, out of the event. Just being around, all the leaders who are, 7-figure earners even, and being in that intimate setting, and it was something special and magical that happened. I don't know, the hike. you know, I gotta say, when I went on the hike, that was amazing. The first day of the event, you know, everybody was just kind of, you know, sharing their story, and I was very uncomfortable. And just, you know, being vulnerable, and when I saw other people doing it, and I shared my story, I just felt, you know, I felt awesome. I felt empowered, and that's when my first breakthrough happened. And then, of course, through the weekend, you know, just being able to, you know, record myself on video and put myself out there. It was something that's, you know, wasn't comfortable, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna step into that fear. And when I did it, it's just I'm just like, all day I've been telling Chris, you know, I've been processing all this stuff, and I'm just telling him, like, I told him, like, I'll be honest, I wasn't, like, I was debating whether I should go or not, but I'm so glad I came. You know, it was just one of the best experiences of my life, and I know I have the clarity, you know, what I need to do when I go home, and, you know, to take my business to the next level. You know, I'm just sure that, you know, by next event, you know, I will hit my goals and I will break through, you know, and, you know, double and triple my income. So that's kind of what I got out of it.
Right on, man. Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Cool.
So awesome.
There you go. Isn't that cool?
Well, and the thing is, like, you know, we got to help people with their stories on the last day, and I worked with Michael a little bit, and, you know, reading through your story, Michael, and just everybody's, you know, it's like, wow, everybody's got such an amazing story. You know, we all have one, and just to like, I just got so present to the power that each person has, and the relatability that each person has based on their story, and, you know, and all of these things about all of these people that I didn't know. When I read your story, Michael, I was like, whoa, you know, you've done this and this, and oh my gosh, and yeah, like, people need to know this. They need to know you, you know. So I'm really excited for you to have a vehicle to be able to convey that story now, and I can't wait to see what happens from here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, it was awesome. Just and I'm still processing too. I mean, I'm doing my best here, but I also need to go, like, a cave for like a day and just meditate and, like, just, you know,
that's for sure.
Such cool stuff happening this weekend. And so the good news is, from this, we're all getting better. You know, and that's the cool thing is the template that was set there, the precedents that were set were understanding yourself as a leader, and understanding how you lead and what matters, and how collaboration is more powerful than isolation, you know, and divisiveness never works for anything. It's just that when you live in a world of scarcity and divisiveness and judgment of I'm better than you, or I need to be better than you, or because you're having success, there's less of it to go around for me.
Absolutely.
And, you know, all of those leaders were able to address that. And this is the thing I was talking about in the email, when people, you know, when I was talking about the things that successful people say, and they don't look at life that way. They don't look at it that way. You know, the cool part that a lot of people need to understand is, if you actually take the word competition and you trace it back to its roots, I believe it's Greek, where the real definition of competition is to make everybody better. Everybody competes so that they can see who measures where, and then they all collaborate on what makes them better, and everyone else moves up to another notch, and they compete again, and then they see who excels from there, and they see that person and go, well, what did you do? And so everyone, and this person tells everyone, and the whole group together can rise up. Because the problem here is, when you got a few leaders here at the top, and you got everyone else down here without the breakthroughs, without the growth, without the prosperity, without the problems in their life solved, without the income, the financial part, and all of the other parts that come along with it, then you have an industry that markets to the lowest common denominator. And we need to raise that denominator up, raising the bar. And a lot of people didn't even realize that's what they were coming for. And so, you know, for those of you who look at some of the marketing out there and go, that's how I have to market, is, you know, make money, which, you know, we're teaching people how to make money, but oftentimes it's like missing the forest for the trees. You know, understanding, giving value to people, and presenting yourself and connecting them through emotions and through stories, so that people understand why they're doing something and how it works, and what it's all about, makes more sense. and then the money cannot be something that deters people, because some people get turned off by that, and there's no reason for it. There's no need for it, and it's time. It's time to bring that to the next level. And you know, for those people who are asking that question, you know, well, why now would be the time to raise the bar and bring this level of awareness and consciousness and quality and standard of quality to the industry? Why now? Why shouldn't we? Why didn't we do it before? Which is some people's argument as to why it shouldn't be there. Why isn't it already there? And my answer to that particular type of thinking is, you know, it was even one of the U.S. presidents that at one time back in the 1880s said, well, why do we even have the patent office anymore? Everything that's been invented that will ever be invented has already been invented. You know? And so what I'm proclaiming is, based on results, which is what we always used to say in our other workshops, based on results, you're at where you're at, right? Based on results of what I saw this weekend from everybody in a full 100% consensus, it's time to raise the bar. So what I would leave you all with tonight is this. If you see people out there doing something that you don't necessarily agree with, or you feel that they're doing the lowest common denominator, the difference is, one, you'll have one of three reactions. You'll say, I don't like that. I think you're schemy and scammy, and you're going to bash them and have a judgment and anger and resentment towards those people because they're misleading people and they're lying to people, or whatever the case may be. And you all, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular. And a lot of people may think I'm talking about certain things happening right now around the industry, and I'm not even talking about, you know, what some people might assume. It's stuff I've been seeing for years, right? And it's like the same usual suspects that do it and somehow seem to keep ripping people off, you know. I've seen it for years with people, and I was like, you know, the time's got to stop. But if you back to that, you know, your three reactions, and the first one is, you know, the judgment of it, where you're like, that's horrible, and you're just, you can't stand it, and you get mad and you get angry, and then you publicly, you know, you choose to, you essentially publicly bash them, and essentially you sink to their level, because you get out there and you run those same emotions of anger and resentment and jealousy and fear and all those things where you're pointing the finger and judging. And a lot of you might be going, well, isn't that what you're doing right now? No, I'm showing you polarizing examples. So I'm not pointing the finger, I'm just pointing out what's being done. But I'm showing you how to overcome this. So the first one is, you can get mad and judge and publicly bash. And what you're doing is you're sinking to that level too, because you're joining in that certain type of thinking and subscribing to those values and those problems. That's the first way. Not very life-enhancing. Then there's the second way, which someone goes, well, if that's what I see happening, and if that's what I feel like I have to do to get ahead, you know, then that's what I feel like I have to do, and you compromise yourself, where you're going to go market like that too, because you feel like you have this scarcity, like, okay, well, they're going to get all the good stuff, so I got to go and compete with them and try to mislead people as well, so I can get a piece of that pie, which doesn't apparently seem to be too big, which is worse of the two to choose, because then you're compromising your integrity, and you have to answer for that, nobody else. So I wouldn't choose that one either. But then there's the third one, where you witness the misleading stuff and the schemy things that people do, and marketing to the lowest common denominator, and just stuff that just makes you look like you're just the dumbest person out there. And for lack of a better word, just an idiot. And instead, you look at them and go, okay, there's really not anything I can do to change that person, because everyone has free will. But there is one thing I can do, and that's be responsible for myself and how I'm going to choose to act, and not react to what they're doing, but proactively act in your way with integrity, being the example for others, and it's your honor, your right, and your duty to outperform people like that, therefore proving that your way of quality and integrity and morality and doing the right thing proves out over those misleading people that just don't have a good understanding of themselves or the world, and they're doing whatever they can to get by, thinking that's the only way they can do it, and they're doing it out of desperation and fear. And if you try to go and judge those people and put them down and step on them, you're doing all of the things that they were afraid of in the first place. All the things they fear is all the judgment and enough not going around and all that stuff. And if you go out there and point the finger or try to do something about it or try to control them in doing so, then you're validating those people's reasons to experience those things. And they don't deserve to experience that either. They need to see an example from you to raise the bar and say, you know what, this person's being authentic, this person's being honest, this person, I know when they're promising something or saying they're going to give me something, they're giving it. And I can trust that. And when they see people like that of integrity leading the field, all of a sudden the game changes. All of a sudden they see that, okay, maybe there's something about that. And let me go and do this and see how this is experienced. And before long, because all those leaders have gotten together and they help each other in real competition, what it was meant to be, when they do that, then they become stronger together and they raise up everybody. And so those people who are trying to be schemy and misleading and lie about stuff and do misleading claims and all those things, they become irrelevant. And they either weed themselves out of the industry or they step it up and learn more about themselves and become a part of the answer, become a part of the solution rather than the problem. But we've got to make space for that. And your judgment of all of that and bashing them and pointing the finger does not make space for that. So I'm not sitting here saying I'm better, I'm right, I'm the best. I'm sitting here saying we all can be better. There's no wrong answer, or there's no right answer, although there's some wrong ones out there. And you get to do it your way with integrity, and everybody wins. And there's more than enough to go around. And if you listen to any leader, they all say the same thing, and we said that even on this call. So I'm going to leave you with that. And any last thoughts there before we jump off here, Amy?
No, I mean, I love how eloquently you just put that. You know, and I believe that the universal consciousness is rising. Like the consciousness of humanity is rising, which is why we had such a collective consciousness this weekend. You know, and I do feel like, you know, what Chris is talking about is that copying and pasting your way through life mentality where there's no authenticity, there's no individuality. And, you know, if we all tell our story from who we are and share who we are, we make the world a better place. And we attract the people that can connect with who we are instead of just, you know, the other way, which is attracting people who are desperate, who aren't going to stick around anyway because there's no real connection going on. So, you know, I'm excited for, you know, to just for more and more of us to take this industry to a very integrous place and be, you know, because like I said earlier, and I'll just end with that, is I mean, this is my heart. I love this industry, and and I do believe that you know, we are all here for a much bigger mission than some of us even know. And this is a vehicle to help a lot of people and to free a lot of people. And we all have the ability to do that with our hearts. So, yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited for that. And, you know, and this weekend, was, it was amazing. That's really what it was about, even though I don't even think we realized that what it was about completely going into it, but I got really more clear about that over the weekend too. I mean, it's been kind of where I've been going even before the weekend. I did a webinar about this and stuff, but then after this weekend, it's like, wow, there's a lot of us that are committed to raising the bar. So I'm excited about that.
All right.
Yeah. And I'm brain dead too, so I'm not making a lot of sense right now.
We all need a couple days to decompress and everything. And so for those of you in my team, there's going to be a lot more coming. Just needed a couple days to, decompress, and we've been pushing here for a while with all of this. And there's a lot more coming. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. And just stay tuned. It's going to be an awesome experience. For those of you that have been invited here by somebody, obviously now you understand that we're a unique place that has a lot of value, a lot of vision, and a lot of things to teach people. And we have the proof of what we know how to do works and how we do it to the tune of 6 figures. Income disclaimer, results not typical. I worked my ass off, and so did Amy. And Jose is going to be there real soon too. And so with that, click the link below, register now, get your Empower Network blog, join Empower Network with whoever sent you the link. It's coded to them. If they sent you the link, it's coded to them, so don't even worry. This is the cool thing about how you can market here, and you can send people and invite them to this link as well, even when you're brand new, and have us talk about the vision here and be able to bring people into this industry the right way, the way that works, the way that's long-term, the way that's full of integrity, and the way that's life-enhancing for you and everyone around you. And that's what we're here to do for you all. So we love you. Have a good night. We'll see you next week, and be on the lookout for some other cool bonus training coming from us all soon. And we'll see you then. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Love you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose.